Hey, I'm Jade Keogh.
And hello from me too, I'm Grace Seeley.
We both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
In your email, say who you want to sponsor and we'll get back to you with the sponsorship details and what to do next.
This is all you have to do and it will help us to get back to where we belong. Thank you guys.
Now, enjoy our Millwall fan show from No One Likes Us talking team.
Come on, Mir.
Hi, Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
3 great points against Preston, and then a disappointing Tuesday night against Birmingham. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me are the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles Thornton, Patricia Maslin, and Jeff Burnige.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Evening, Myles.
Evening, Gary. Evening, everyone. You all right?
All good. Evening, Pat.
Evening, all.
And evening, Jeff. How you doing?
Good evening, Gary. Good evening, team. Good to be here.
Good. So, Myles, I'll start with you. Talk to us about Preston. I saw you on that day. You look like you're having a great day. And I saw you making your little report outside. What did you think of the Preston game?
I thought it was a really good game. I think, first half we sat back at the first half of the first half, and then second half of the first half it was just like we just went forward and scored the goal, and then the same thing in the second half, and I really liked it. So yeah, good game.
Excellent. And Pat, you can have the moan if you want. Talk to us about Birmingham.
Yeah, strange you giving me this one.
I wonder why, Pat. I wonder why.
How depressing was that? I mean, we were pony. After Preston, you knew as soon as they scored, we were going to struggle. It's typical Millwall. And the Birmingham game is the game where we should have got the 3 points. We was at home. We were against a team that had nothing to play for.
But I'll give you something, Pat. They have won, and Ben listening will probably tell us as well. They've won 5 of their last 6. They're not just sitting in the table on the beach. They can't
do anything, can they?
No, I know, but they're still doing it.
You know, we're 5th in the table. You look at the table, we should have been walking that.
Should have been.
A lack of a decent target man has cost us big time this season. And we're a million miles away from being a Premiership team.
It was calling out for us, a big man, that game, wasn't it? It was calling out for their strike.
Coming the ball up to a 4'6" Bradshaw, who's got no chance against a couple of tall centre-backs. It's absolutely crazy. No sub till the 74th minute. What's that all about? Should have been changed at half-time.
But he did say...
But it wasn't working.
But he did say, Pat, in his defence, and I thought the same, because everyone was around me was saying, make a sub. But we were on top for about 60 to 75 minutes just before he made that sub. We were on top. So, and then he did say, for that 5 minutes after, we made the change. Yeah, but he said after that 5 minutes, it all went flat again. So he didn't want to lose that. He knew he had to make the changes, but he said the reason I didn't want to make the changes was because we were on top. Yeah, maybe, and then maybe
far too late. I don't think I've been so depressed all season as sitting there at the end of that game.
It was, considering the results that have gone with us this week. That would have literally. It would have put us in the playoffs pretty much 90% as well. I agree.
22 shots, 7 on targets, and we can't score a goal. It's crazy. How are we 5th?
Yeah. Well, let's ask Jeff. Do you think we've blown our chances now of a playoff, or are results going our way to help us out still?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. I think it obviously is going to go to the last game, particularly if we can get something out of these two away games coming up. As for the Preston and Birmingham games, Pat was right about something. We if we lose promotion, if we lose the playoffs, it would have been done on the 31st of January because we badly needed someone else up front to go along with Bradshaw or take the pressure off of him. And we put all our eggs in the one basket with Kevin Nisbet, and everyone knows that broke down on medical grounds. So we don't have any other striker in the club apart from Tom Bradshaw. And that showed, I think. Having said that, I went home as well, depressed after Tuesday. But some very wise judges who saw it on television have said they thought we were unbelievable. Our pressing, our recovering of the ball, our commitment, our passion, they thought was fantastic. And the number of shots and efforts we had, perhaps we deserved to win the game. But I must say, I thought personally, when we put Romain Esse and Callum Stiles on, we changed our approach a little bit to go and try and go at them from midfield rather than hit the long ball, high ball. And I thought it nearly paid off, didn't it?
It did. It did. But we can talk about this more as the show goes on. Before we listen to Debbie Julians talking about our sponsors, here is Paul Owens from Fisher FC.
Hi, I'm Paul, a Millwall and Fisher FC supporter. There's always been strong links between our clubs, and as such, Fisher FC would like to remind Millwall season ticket holders and supporters club members that entry to watch Fisher is just a £5 if you show your card at the gate.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by family business G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham in Kent. They are Millwall fans too. They've been Honda dealers for over 50 years. At G&M Motors Gravesend, you can purchase a new Honda. At both Gravesend and Meopham, they have a combined range of over 150 quality used cars and ex-demonstrators to suit all budgets and lifestyles. They also offer a comprehensive range of repair and maintenance services to ensure your vehicle stays reliable, safe, and retains a higher value with trust. G&M Motors, Gravesend and Meopham are dear friends of the Julians family. From Lenny to Debbie, and also our Millwall Fan Show.
I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me I have No One Likes a Talking team of Miles, Pat and Jeff. Many thanks to our sponsors, G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham. So now we move on to our guest, and he's one of my favourite guests to get on the show. This YouTube giant is one of the best content producers for the English Championship. He creates content on predictions, teams of the season, match reports, who will do this, who will do that. His knowledge of the Championship is second to none, and I personally listen to all his content. Welcome back to the show, Benjamin Bloom.
Thank you, Gary. Very lovely to be here.
Good. Lovely to speak with you, Ben. Before I hand you over to tonight's panellists, I'm interested to learn how it all got started for you, really. I know it was the first ones I really picked up on for you was in the car driving home and outside the grounds. So was that where it all started?
Yeah, pretty much. I was on a very much like this. I was on the Ipswich Town podcast, and we type route, and I ended up doing it, and then all of a sudden you're all and sundry all around the country, and people are enjoying it, and the more people enjoyed it, the more I did it, and then there was a pandemic, and I lost my job, and here we are.
Oh, wow. So first up with the questions, Ben, is...
Hello, Ben. It's Pat here.
Hey, Pat.
Hi. Do you seriously think that Gary Rowett is the manager to get Millwall promoted?
Oh, God, that's a good question. That question is not, will Gary Rowett get Millwall promoted? It's, do you think Gary Rowett is the man? And in some ways he is, and in some ways he isn't. And I think to be a Millwall manager, you've kind of got to get the club, which is unique, and you've got to get the situation, which I think he does. But look, we talk about finances all the time and budgets and things of that nature. And when I look at Millwall and Rowett, I look at 80-90% of it is right. What's sort of happening, but unfortunately, in the Championship, in this kind of parachute payment era post 2015, you have to be pretty perfect if you're a club of of the size and of the budget of Millwall. You see sort of I don't know, Sheffield United tactically get through, Norwich okay off the back of parachute payments, but then one amazing transfer window. We see Huddersfield get through the playoffs, lightning one season and they're through. And he's been very good, but I think he needs to be perfect to do it.
Yeah. I personally think he's still playing with Harris's squad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the big thing was replacing Wallace for Fleming, which is very much now a Rowett player, and I suppose he's brought through youngsters. I know they were in the system, but he's developed the likes of McNamara and Mitchell. But yeah, there's an argument that he had a good base of players now. But what? How long? It must have been
Nearly 4 years
now. He's been in there. So yeah, it's a difficult one that always comes up when I speak to Millwall fans, and unfortunately, we'll never know the parallel universe where someone else was the Millwall manager in this period of time, and whether they would have got closer or whether they would be in the position they are now, we don't know. It could have been better, but it could have been worse.
Fair enough. I think we've got our Myles back now, so Myles is going to jump in and ask his questions.
Hello, Ben. Great to speak with you from one YouTuber to another. I know you have a soft spot for the Lions, but what is that? What is it that you find so endearing about us?
Like I said in the other answer, it's just a bit of a unique club. You go to a lot of places, and it's difficult for London clubs as well because there's so many of them. But it has a very certain feel and philosophy from the fans towards the players of what they want, and then it feels like the club take that into account with how they play and who they recruit. And I kind of like that, that whole thing coming together. Apart from that, lots of people tell me Millwall fans are horrible, and they're nothing but absolutely lovely to me whenever I'm down there. So that always helps as well.
Brilliant. Our Jeff, ex-chairman of Millwall Football Club, so there's a boost for him, would like to ask the next question.
Yes, Ben, it's good to speak to you again, and I also like
Jeff.
what you do online. But I'd like to know, I know you follow the Championship very closely, even though Ipswich are no longer in it, and perhaps returning to it soon. But yeah, couldn't resist. But you've had a look at the fixtures that all the contenders for the playoffs have got. How do you think the next 3 or 4 games for some will go for them?
I think I got the gist of that question, Jeff, before it cut out. I've done this 3 or 4 times now since, say, December, and had different conclusions every time. We're on fairly safe ground now because there's only 3 or 4 games to go, so I doubt there'll be any of the big changes we've experienced already. What I would say is it feels like the top 4 were always kind of clear. And then under that, frankly, and you mentioned it in the previous part of the conversation, nobody's really on a run. Nobody's really in form. You had Preston say a few games ago on their good run, looked like they had the momentum, and then obviously you guys beat them. Someone will do it. Someone will score runs of the season. But just before we came on, I had a look at your points total from 2017-18, which was a very good team, which I believe, if I look correctly, is 72 points, if I've remembered that. I suspect 2 teams are going to get in the playoffs with less than you scored for 8th place in 2018. I like your fixtures, but as was already mentioned as well, you need 4 to 6 points in the next 2 games, and you really don't want to be getting involved in those last day of the season chaos, especially it's against a direct rival. I know it's at the Den, but you would very much like on the last day of the season to not be in a situation where it's out of your hands per se. And looking at the goal difference, goes in your favour against Blackburn. You're 10 up as well. So I think 4 to 6 points from the next two would see you in. And we've always wondered with Millwall, we've kind of had our fingers crossed, if they get into the playoffs, and especially if it's a 5th or 6th place and that game at the Den is the first of the two semis, I've always wondered, that not a nice place to go on the first leg of a playoff semi-final. So my long-winded answer, paraphrased, nobody really wants 5th or 6th. So it's very much up for grabs, and I like your fixtures.
Fair enough. Miles?
Well, you've spoken in detail about the right and wrong ways about establishing a perfect team to get out of this division. Do you think Millwall, buying the likes of Fleming and Vogel, Summer, etc., have Millwall started to look and find in the right places?
Yeah, I think they've done brilliantly, and we always praise John Berylson when we're talking about Millwall and the recruitment. Obviously, losing Jed Wallace without a fee was not desirable, and I think you're talking about a striker that maybe you would have liked in maybe last summer, let alone in January, and maybe that's a lesson learned, not cashing in and that contract sort of running down. I know that's a longer story, but I really like how they've upped the ante. I like how they've gone for interesting market with Fleming and with Vogelsammer, and always pick up good players from League One and the EFL. Really, really like what they're doing. I'm sure they're doing it very, very sensibly. And it's just blooming hard. 3 teams are going to come down again, aren't they? In May, June, they're going to get 5 times more broadcast money than Millwall are going to get next season. And again, you're going to have to pull more rabbits out of hats to be up there challenging. Again, it's difficult, but I really like how they've stepped up, because it would have been very easy to go, oh, we lost Jed Wallace for no fee, we're not going to invest. But no, they did the opposite, and I do admire that.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's Pat again. If you were a betting man,
which I am,
who would you take to go up through the playoffs? And do you seriously think that any team without parachute payments could actually stay up?
Oh, that's a good question. In terms of the first part, and you won't like my answer here, but I've got to stick to what I said a minute ago. I do think Luton and Middlesbrough are a lot further ahead in terms of the development of their side and where their sides and where they are. But like I just said, if Millwall get in, they're going to be in 5th or 6th. That game at the Den will be first, and they could get themselves, I think they would need a 2-goal lead going into the second game, and I wouldn't want to play Millwall at home chasing a 2-goal deficit, knowing how well Gary Rowett can set defences up. And you've won at Wembley before. It's knockout football, it's not league football. If I were you guys, I think I'd rather play Middlesbrough than Luton. I think Luton will fight you, whereas Middlesbrough are going to try and rip you apart. And I don't know, I think you might be able to mirror that and play off that, and that might work. But look, I think success for Millwall is just getting in there and becoming a top 6 team and a playoff team. And the neutrals have kind of wanted to see that for a while, because it's been 2 8th place finishes. It feels like they've been close and not quite made it. In terms of the parachute conversation, it's just hard, isn't it? It's very, very hard. And look, fans of the parachute teams who have been in the Premier League will say they would actually rather be Millwall, because you got no players there on stupid Premier League contracts that you only were able to get them in the door on the ridiculous salaries that they're on. I think, reading between the lines, Pat, what you're asking is, were Millwall to go up, is it going to look like, say, Norwich, where you go up and you say, look, amazing, we're not going to all of a sudden start paying everyone 50 grand a week. We're going to go our best. And if that means we score 20 points and get relegated, so be it. We're going to continue building. The obvious opposite of that is what Nottingham Forest have done, which I'm sure you would hate Millwall to do, which is spend 150 million of the 180 quid TV money you got. That's over 3 years, by the way, not spend it in the first year and possibly risk all that lovely stability that you've built under John.
So, sorry, just before I pass over to Jeff, I just wanted to ask the second part of that question that Pat was asking there. It's just come to mind. What do you think has happened this season, though? The likes of West Brom and co have taken a long time to find their feet, haven't they, Ben? And the likes of Millwall and Luton just been plodding away. What do you think's happened with those type clubs like the Norwich, Watford, West Brom? Why have they struggled so much this year?
Don't know. It feels a little bit like, and I hope this is the case, that we're closing in on hopefully the end of the parachute payment farce.
Hope so.
What has been happening is these clubs have taken loans out and mortgaged against the parachute payments. So they've all almost doubled down. And although there's obviously great advantages to having that extra income, there is a risk to it as well that there is a cliff edge the other side of it. That's why they're there in the first place. I think we all understand the reason why they're there, but just the gap between having them and not having them just feels a little bit too big and a little bit crazy and, distorting to the wage figures and whatnot in the league. Norwich couldn't bounce forever, could they? You're going to have a bad season once when you come down. I'm sure they'll get it right again next season. And Watford, the same thing then. I do think the behind closed door COVID season, if you notice, that was Norwich and Watford just bounced straight away, didn't they? I think the gap was exacerbated there where even the stadium income was taken off all the other clubs trying to challenge, and it just made it even worse. So yeah, you take out. I mean, look again. Burnley are a year one parachute team, top of the league. Sheffield United are a year two parachute team, second in the league. So it's not that it's still an issue. And then you've got West Brom 7th, who could still get in there, but it does open up the door. Obviously, Middlesbrough are well moneyed after selling Jed Spence, and the likes of Luton and Millwall fly the flag for teams that don't spend stupid amounts and run properly. And I think I'm not saying I'm a raving socialist or anything here, but anyone who backs the underdog would quite like that to be the playoff final. But I think Middlesbrough might have something to say about that.
Indeed. Over to you, Jeff, with a question about his beloved.
Well, there's very interesting observations about that, Ben, about how you think it will go for the beloved Lions. But while you're on, I'll ask you again about Ipswich. Is it your expectation that the exile to League One is about to come to an end? It's 2 out of 3 for the automatic at the moment, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I said a few minutes ago, I like your fixtures. I don't like our fixtures. We've got to go to Peterborough and Barnsley over the next 4 days. Don't get me wrong. I love the team. I love what the manager's doing. And I hate to say it because I've just done the whole table thumping back in the underdog. We're the team in League One with loads of money. So everyone else hates us for that reason. But hopefully if I'm ranting about it on a championship level, I can be self-aware enough to admit it when the team I support has that advantage in League One. Look, Plymouth have done absolutely brilliantly. You're probably going to see them next season. They've got 3 home games in a week now, and we expect them to get the job done. Complete straight shootout, absolute straight shootout. And unfortunately, between Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday, unfortunately, Ipswich don't quite have the playoff chops that Millwall do. We're not a very good playoff team, so I think it does need to be second place or nothing, but it would be absolutely wonderful to be back. But all I will say is I was at the stadium on Tuesday, and it's just great after a real crap period to see the stadium full, young fans, boys and girls, families all want to turn up and come and watch the team again. So they've done half the job, but yeah, they just need to score 7 or 8 points in this last 4 games to finish it off.
Fingers crossed for you, Ben. But I will say about that top end of the first division at the moment, it's like, well, you could say 7 or 8 of those teams are all solid, recognisable championship teams, aren't they, really?
You can argue that. Yeah, there's a Sheffield Wednesday, Derby, huge fan bases. Obviously, I class Ipswich in that in that sort of bracket as well. Even the likes of, you've got Portsmouth in there, Oxford, Barnsley have been a regular championship team. There's some strong sides in there. I probably missed one out, but yeah, I know you guys have been down there, you've experienced it. It's not fun. You don't want to get stuck down. It's not easy going to Cheltenham and Fleetwood and Accrington. With all due respect to those sides, they do not just give you 3 points, I tell you.
No, but just a little nod to Leyton Orient as well. It's good to see them on the turn as well.
Brilliant.
Probably doing a Luton at the moment as well.
Yeah, Richie Wellens, they'll be back in. I think they were confirmed on Tuesday night, weren't they? With Neil Harris, actually, wasn't it? Down at Gillingham. So.
Yeah, have you seen that video of them all celebrating on the pitch after the lights had gone out for about 5 minutes?
I heard something about it, but I still haven't caught up on everything from this crazy midweek being down at Ipswich Port Vale myself. But it'd be good to see Orient back. They've had a not the nicest few years as well, haven't they?
Indeed. Right. Well, Ben, look, we know we can talk for hours. We will get you back on. It's good to have you on before the end of the season. But I was just going to ask you about Wigan, but you've already sort of explained what you think should happen. But I'll ask you about all three. Honestly, Wigan, Blackpool away, and Blackburn in the last game of the season. What would be the perfect scenario out of those 3 games in your eyes for us to, and score lines for those 3 games?
It's difficult, Gary, because we sit and do this, but at this point, it actually just becomes a race.
Yeah.
And it's almost 5 points might be enough. You don't know. If everyone keeps cocking it up the way they are, you could win, draw, and drop points in 2 of them. Obviously, you're playing 2 of the bottom 3. I know you've got to go away from home. Like I said, win the first one, put the pressure on, might buy you the opportunity for a point from the second one. As I'll repeat myself, just don't. Normally, you know me, it'd be 2 points per game. Take 6 points over those 3 games. You're probably over the line. Might be less. And as soon as you get into that last day of the season, when it just gets chaos and you got half the teams on the beach and everyone else is looking at their phones the whole match, crazy things can happen. But the good news is you're at home on the last day, and I do think the den counts for a lot. So could be 5 points. 6 would be, I'm sure, would do it, wouldn't it? 6 points would take you to 71, which normally would be 74 we'd be looking for, but I think it's going to be lower than that. But you don't know. The way it's going, you could knock 4 points out in these last 3 games and do it on goal difference over Blackburn, maybe. Who the hell knows, but I wish you all the best.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ben. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for coming on. It's been brilliant to talk. Bye from me, and bye from all the crew as well.
Bye, Ben. Bye, Ben.
Our Pat would now like to talk about the special edition for the Blackburn game.
Right. Your regular programme, which we sell outside, obviously, will be £2 for the Blackburn game. That's because it's 30 years since we left the old den. 30 years ago to the day. So we've done a special 12-page insert all about the old ground with photos from the very beginning, from the war years, preceding years. We've got memories of supporters at the den. There's a couple of pages on their top flight at the old den, and obviously our leaving the den. So it's a really special issue. It's twice as big as normal. As I say, that'll be £2. Please have the right money and not keep giving me £20 notes. Thank you.
Cheers, Pat. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me, I have the No One Likes Us team of Miles, Pat, and Jeff. Let's hear from the wonderful, amazing Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall.
The Lionesses were away at Ebbsfleet this weekend in a top-of-the-table clash. Jeff was there to see what happened.
This is Jeff Burnige reporting on Millwall Lionesses. Well, the Lionesses crashed 6-1 to promotion rivals and likely champions Ebbsfleet United Women at the Cufflink Stadium, Stonebridge Road yesterday. With injuries necessitating Lionesses manager Jack Wheeler to choose 5 under-18s, the match was however even until the 26th minute when Amelie Woodgate scored to make it 1-0 to Ebbsfleet. The game was reasonably even, and it took until the 55th minute for Ebbsfleet to double their lead. But then the Lionesses roared back, and on 58 minutes, Jade Keogh had her brilliant shot tipped onto the bar by the goalkeeper for a wonderful save. And then, on 70th minute, Melissa Jones had a great shot, which was saved by the keeper, only for her under-18s teammate Ellen Napper to follow up and make it 2-1. A revival seemed a possibility, but then some brilliant finishing by Ebbsfleet broke the Lionesses' hearts with 4 goals in the last 18 minutes, some of them brilliant finishes from range. Ebbsfleet were brilliant and deserved this victory. They are now very firm favourites for the title and promotion from the London and South East Regional League to the National League. Congratulations to Ebbsfleet.
Paul Loading also spoke to us about the Pride and the Romans.
Hi all, it's Paul Loading over at the Millwall Romans. And firstly, just want to say how great it is to have you back, Eamon. I hope you're on the way to recovery, and we have missed you a lot. I certainly have, anyway, over the last few weeks. So I really hope you're all better now and well on the way to recovering. Just a little update from the Millwall Romans. We were fortunate enough to be invited to the Den last week for the Community Day held by the Community Trust. It was a really good atmosphere outside the Den. We got there about 12:30, 1 o'clock, loads of fans around. And as I say, it was a really good atmosphere. And I think the game itself was a little bit nerve-wracking in parts. But as soon as we got that second goal, it felt a bit more comfortable. And it's obviously great that Millwall managed to pick up the 3 points. Just to mention as well, obviously, big thanks to the Community Trust for the award from Sean Daly. It was a bit of a shock to myself. Sean had mentioned that he might want me to present somebody with an award at half time, which I didn't really understand why, but obviously then getting onto the pitch at half time and getting an award, it was quite a shock, and it's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be part of the club and be part of the Millwall family. I say it was a bit of a shock from my side, but it's a great club, and the Community Trust do some phenomenal work, and as I say, I'm really proud to be part of that, hopefully for many years to come as well. And just a quick update from the teams. Well, obviously, after the Easter break, Romans were at home this week hosting Stonewall Thirds. Stonewall Thirds, they beat us last season. They've had a bit of a change in their team. Bit of a comfortable game for us. We knocked the ball around nice, playing our game out from the back, even though we have got a couple of injuries at the moment. And 6-0 to Romans. Pride, on the other hand, playing Stokey. Stokey challenging for one of the top spots. They're a good physical team. They do play football well. Playing over at Walthamstow. Not so good result for them, losing 7-0. But they're a cracking group of guys down at Pride, and they're playing the right way. Looking forward, this weekend, Pride are on a break due to our very own Andrew Dolan running the London Marathon on Sunday. Yeah, he's been training hard, and he'll be out there running for the Terence Higgins Trust, along with our very own Jamie Carragher as well. Yes, we have got a Jamie Carragher who's also attending and running the London Marathon. Romans, on the other hand, we are playing away. We've got a 4 o'clock kickoff due to the marathon going right past St Paul's Sports Ground down in Rotherhithe. So it's a 4 o'clock kickoff against Titans. Our last game before the big semi-final next Sunday against Yorkshire Terriers. It's next Sunday. It'll be a 2 o'clock kickoff at St Paul's. Prediction for this week, obviously after the result against Preston, dropping a few points in the week, playing Wigan bottom of the table. We've got to pick up the points, and I think we're all cheering on Millwall. It'd be great to get Millwall back into the Premier League. I'm going to say a convincing 3-0 win to Millwall.
Well, I think we'd all be happy with that result, wouldn't we, Paul? So, as Paul said, Wigan up next to the Lions. Wigan currently sit bottom of the table. Potential banana skin, but also potential easy game for us to win. But as we all know, none of these games in the Championship are easy. I'd like to see us go down and make it comfortable. Wigan have got something to play for. I think at this precise moment, they still, if they win their last 3 games, can stay up. But we have that unfortunate thing about us that we could also relegate them, I believe, as well. I'll come to you first, Miles. I know it's one of those games that potentially can go either way, as matches can, but should it just be easy for us?
Well, we know what Millwall do. We beat the teams that are like first and second, and then lose to the team who's 23rd. But I don't think we will. I think after Birmingham result, I think all the players are just going to go and give it their best, and I think they will. I hope they do, because I'm making the trip down there, up there. Sorry, I think it will be I'm going with Paul here. I think it's going to be a 3-0 win, and I think Bradshaw will get 2 and Zayn Fleming to get another, because we need it.
Interesting. Pat, I'll come to you. Do you think it's going to be as open as we hope it is? Because obviously we're going to have still got something to play for.
Of course they have. They'll be fighting for their life. And they won during the week, didn't they? Beat Stoke. That's 4 in 6 they haven't lost. I think we're underestimating them. It's in our hands. We win, we're going to move up, we're comfortable. We lose this, and I think it's frightening. The whole scenario is frightening. I think we're going to win. I hope we're going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't.
Give us a prediction though, Pat. Come on. Stick yourself on the line.
I'll go 2-0 to us. Fair
enough. Jeff, what do you think?
This is the great unpredictable season in the Championship, isn't it? It's proved a lot of people wrong on many occasions, including Millwall fans. But we have been playing teams towards the bottom, but they've, generally speaking, been on good runs, like Birmingham, like Huddersfield. And even as Pat's just pointed out, Wigan, they're not losing many games recently. But I thought the passion and commitment on Tuesday was there, absolutely there, and perhaps we just need a break. I have a feeling we'll win this game, but it's going to be incredibly tense. I'll go 1-0.
I agree with Jeff and Pat there. That we have been working really, really hard. I thought at the end of the first half, we wanted it. But I said to the guy I sit with, Mick, it's going to be one of those nights. We want it, and we're going to plug and wait. If we'd have just got one that's come off someone's bum or blah, blah, blah. Do you know, I think what the worst thing that happened was when the goalkeeper went off injured. Because you knew as soon as Etheridge got on that pitch, he was going to give 150% and save everything, and he did. So we just needed some bit of luck, and I think if we'd have had that bit of luck, it'd have opened the game up, and we probably would have gone on to win it quite comfortably. And to be honest, yes, I think Saturday's going to be cagey. Hopefully, they will open the game up and keep it free-flowing. I'll go with Pat, and I'll go 2-0 as well. We will take a break there and listen to Debbie Julians talking about the Lions.
Let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? That Millwall Lionesse Kelly Webster is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need your support. If you can help, and you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation at Banquet, that is BANKUET. You will find them online. Insert www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub into your browser. I'll say that again. www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub. And the Lions Food Hub is all one word. On match days, you can make food and toiletry donations at the Lions Food Hub, which is opposite the 1885 bar at the Cold Blow Lane end of the ground. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via the Lions Food Hub Twitter or Facebook sites.
I'm your host, Gary, and with me are the No One Likes Us Talking team of Myles, Pat and Jeff. More than 2 years have passed since the Lions Food Hub came into being, which for us was bittersweet celebration. We did not expect food hubs to become permanent. Nonetheless, Kelly Webster and her wife Ellen Webster all the hubs to team, their sponsors and all that donate are making such a huge difference in supporting those that are at risk. You can help them if you can, as the country sadly remains in a sea of spiralling prices. Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes the Talking team bring reports from our games, both home and away. For the Lionesses and Lionesses, the Lions and Lionesses on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. You can also find us on their website, along with updates on Millwall Community Matters. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Tumblr, and Twitter, social media sites, and all other popular podcasts. Thank you, and it's good night from me. And Myles, good night.
Thanks very much, Gary, and good night to everyone else.
Good night, Pat.
Night to everybody out there.
And good night, Jeff.
Good night, and let's hope our predictions for Wigan are right.
Fingers crossed. Good night to all our listeners. Many thanks for tuning in to the No One Likes Us Talking weekly podcast.